XRP chart, ADA chart. Doesn't get any more exciting than that right now, everybody, in this bear market. This diversification, the introduction of new XRP content alongside ADA content. I have a story to tell you right now. Guess what? They're both underdogs. They're both underdogs in kind of fundamentally different ways. And being from Philly, I really enjoy and root for the underdog stories. And I'm talking about Rocky, if you didn't get that reference. But I like underdogs. And from an investment perspective, these two cryptos and they're blue chips. These are blue chip underdogs. They have so much potential and they offer so much opportunity and upside. And I tweeted this last week. I said, tonight I learned that there are a ton of ADA holders that also hold XRP. I love how I spelled that wrong too. Tonight I learned there's a ton of ADA holders that hold XRP. I was a little nervous as I've added XRP. I was a little nervous to kind of start covering it. I didn't know the feedback I would get, but I learned that there are a lot of ADA holders holding XRP. And so this is actually really fun for me. Just from a diversification perspective, it's more exciting to track my portfolio right now through this bear market into the next cycle. And just from a content creation perspective, because these are really two cool stories that are happening right now from just fundamental perspectives. So let's start with ADA on the charts and then we'll pivot to XRP and we'll track what's going on there. So I want to start here. This is Trend Rider over on Twitter. He tagged me on this yesterday. ADA RSI bullish divergence close to support zone. And I thought this was really interesting. I don't think we really talked much about this, but he said it's a good signal, could be a good signal for, reversal. And I basically said that's pretty nice. I wonder if it could play into a short-term October rally and not necessarily the immediate macro reversal we all want. And that's what we're going to talk about on the ADA charts right now. And I want to start with that. Maybe we get an October rally. Maybe October is green for crypto. Maybe we're getting all of these parabolic gains, right? And I'm talking about these nice breakouts, 20, 30, 40% moves for some of these cryptos. And we're going to look at some of these targets. But we're in a bear market and there's a lot of zoomed out macroeconomic stuff that's going on right now that's not too good. It's not too bullish. So we absolutely have to remind ourselves of that. We're in a bear market. And we can watch for bullish confirmations, but bullish confirmations for bull markets, they're far away. So I don't think we should get too excited that, hey, we're exiting the bear market now. We have to be very careful. And it's not financial advice. It's just my opinion. It's just data. But I've tracked these charts for years. I've done almost daily videos for years through these cycles. And one thing I can tell you, that rallies in bear markets can be extremely deceptive. So let's track this. So first, I think I want to start here, which is basically what happened in the bull market high. We have these higher highs on ADA. It was a fun ride, that's for sure. And then we go over here and we look at the RSI, this momentum oscillator, doing the opposite at that time, right? So we're getting lower highs. So right there, you see that's bearish divergence. We see the momentum and this indicator kind of giving a signal, hey, ADA is kind of getting weak. ADA is losing momentum. And so we see what happened next. It was a great signal of the top and Cardano entered the bear market. So here we are now referencing Trend Rider's tweet about bullish divergence. Not as clear, but if we zoom in on the chart on ADA right now on the weekly, we can see, and we can kind of evaluate the candles and where they're closing and opening, kind of just this little downtrend right here on this weekly chart. And you see that pretty much lower lows on the weekly. And it's been pretty grueling consolidation. If we look at the daily chart real quick, it's been months of just like waiting, and we've been tracking it and it's still bouncing around this area. And we're going to look at this on the daily, but we have these lower lows on ADA on the weekly. And then if we go over here to the RSI, check it out. We have higher lows. So we are kind of getting a bit of bullish divergence. It's not huge. It's not massive. I don't think this is the bullish divergence we would see where, all right, Cardano put in its low and we're really exiting the bear market. I don't see that. And that's kind of why I said, and I could be very wrong, that's why I said maybe this is some kind of bearish or bullish divergence that leads to kind of a nice rally, but it's not necessarily, I don't think, a macro indicator right here. I don't think that's what's going on right now. But playing into that story, this potential shorter term rally, crypto might have in store. We've been talking about it with things like Bitcoin. Be careful, right? We get the rally and then it's bouncing off of macro resistance to the downside. But if this plays out, especially for October, ADA kind of has this on the shorter term in play, this nice massive breakout out of this consolidation that it's been in for a while now. One thing to note on this daily chart, because we've been talking about it a lot, this yellow trend line, this dotted trend line that you see there, let me zoom all the way out here. That dotted trend line on the daily goes all the way back here to 2018. And we've been tracking that most recently in all of this consolidation for ADA, just the support area between that and this white trend line right here, which is more of like the short to midterm higher low trend line that ADA is in. And you can see just yesterday or so, ADA actually kind of falling out of that range, falling below that range and kind of sweeping right back up above the trend line. It's kind of from just a technical analysis perspective, I guess what we could call that is that was a close one. And it's what we want to see. We want to see the pullback to the trend line, and we want to see it break back above. We want to see it close back above on this daily chart, because we get the pullback. What could be scary is if there's resistance there, we don't get the daily close, and then actually there's resistance there. That's not what we want to see. So it happened quick, but we're back above right now, at least as I do this video, but just above ADA right now, the 20-day moving average, and obviously this longer term yellow trend line confluent with the 50-day moving average. So basically resistance for ADA right now up to around 46 cents. So you see ADA moving to 45 cents tonight or tomorrow morning or whenever. That's not really nothing. It's not really anything to get too excited about. But if it starts actually breaking and making a move above this confluent area of resistance at the 50-day and that long-term trend line right around 46 to 47 cents, then we can start saying, okay, now we're really getting somewhere. ADA at that point will be testing a lower high from this previous swing high to that low. ADA could be approaching this lower high resistance, and that's the area to break, the 50-cent range at the 786 of that lower high. And then we start approaching that trend line of this consolidation that we've just been stuck in between for a while. So ADA has some moves before it even gets there, right? Just to give you an idea, to the upside, ADA has to see a 20% move, almost 17 to 20% to get to that trend line. So we're going to monitor that and see how that plays out. Right now is actually, as I record this video, new daily candle. So we got the daily close above this trend line. And right now, it's so way too early to tell. We have a red candle forming, but this could just change by the end of this video alone to green. But again, be very careful of the 20-day moving average on ADA and watch out for this trend line below, sitting at right around 43 cents. ADA is testing that area. Is ADA going to consolidate with some type of short-term pattern in this around this trend line? Something to keep an eye out for ADA tonight, going into tomorrow on the short term. But we'll see how this story of potential bullish divergence plays out on the macro. XRP price could rally by 50% based off comments from a former SEC director. You all know the narrative, and if you don't, I'm going to just give you some context real quick. XRP investors are hopeful that a potential court victory against the SEC could send the altcoin price at least 50% higher. That's nice, right? So a victory, good news for XRP, good news for the community. But for me, as a longer term investor, I'm kind of thinking bigger picture. 50% rally might actually play into this green October story, but it doesn't play into the macro story. If this ends up playing positive for XRP and the case is won by Ripple, guess what? That is so macro bullish for XRP. And that's kind of where my interest is, because I'm thinking longer term right now. Rallies in bear markets are great, but thinking longer term, what this could do for crypto. And again, if you're still here and you're just like, I can't stand XRP, I just want to say this. If you hold any other crypto, you should care about XRP. You should, at the very least, you don't have to hold it, invest in it, but you should be watching it. This case is going to set a pretty big precedent for crypto. So on September 29th, many of you, I'm sure, are aware, Judge Torres ordered the commission to release the documents penned by William Hinman. The reason it's important, he was the former director of the Corporation Finance Division at the SEC. Hinman may have written about ETH, the native token of the Ethereum blockchain, not being a security in the concealed documents. So this is because This is primarily because Hinman had proclaimed the same in his speech at the Yahoo Finance All Market Summit in June 2018. The reason that's important for everything that we're talking about, Ripple's defense could use Hinman's writing as evidence that its blockchain native token XRP should not be treated as a security. And if you're in crypto, if you're invested in XRP, one of the two, this matters. This matters how this plays out, which is the opposite of what the SEC claimed in the lawsuit filed in December 2020. So this is a big deal. This is all happening right now. Things are really coming together. We're going to find out sooner or later, how this ends up playing out, but it's going to be a really big deal, not only just for XRP holders, but it's just a big deal for crypto. And so let's pay attention to that. But here's XRP in the chart. Biggest concern on the macro right now is the macro Fibonacci that we're looking at here. We look at these macro Fibonaccis all across these crypto charts, particularly Bitcoin and the cycles of Bitcoin. But it's kind of this swing low all the way back here in March 2020 to the swing high, XRP swing high. And you have this kind of green channel where XRP revisited and actually we're below right now the 786 line, which is fine. Waiting actually for Bitcoin to fall below its own 786 line on the chart. Right now kind of hovering above its own 786 line. XRP already below it, but right now seeing a little bit of resistance on this weekly chart at the 786. That's my immediate concern. To give you a reference point, that 786 line sitting right around 50 cents, 51 cents. That's kind of what I'm watching, even in the short term as we kind of start zooming in here. Here's the daily chart. We're going to look at these shorter term Fibonacci's in a minute, but here's the zoomed in chart. So we've just identified that longer term Fibonacci right around 51 cents or so, right? So that 786 Fibonacci resistance is a big deal for me on this chart. And that's sitting, right around here, somewhere around there. So even with this chart that we see, kind of this shorter term, just over a week old of consolidation, symmetrical triangle that we see here, there's this case, especially as XRP is at the apex, there's this case that the symmetrical triangle doesn't mean anything, right? And it kind of actually needs to extend in some type of other structure for a little bit longer. But there's a case for a kind of a breakout to that macro 786 line that sits around here. And then we're going to get a retest back, right, to these trend lines, to the apex, maybe to this lower trend line over here. And so that's always a move that I watch for on these triangles. Now, what would be great and a good sign that could play into headlines like this, talking about 50% rallies for XRP, would be if XRP could just actually blast right through that 786 line. And then on this weekly chart, it would look like XRP really blasting through the 200-week moving average, which I should also note as kind of an area of confluent resistance just below the 786. So XRP breaking through those areas kind of explosively would be the sign that we want to see. But just notice up here, confluent with the other end of the Fibonacci is the 618. And right there at the 618 is the 50-week moving average. And that's sitting up there around 80 cents. So those are areas to keep an eye on in an explosive move for XRP. Explosive move for XRP. Out of this triangle alone, we're looking at 68 cents or so for XRP to see this breakout. That's not quite 50% as we just looked at in that headline, but it's probably closer to around 40% if we measure the move, just over 40%. Keep in mind, if there are no bulls stepping into crypto markets in the short term, XRP in this trend, and we're talking the lower trend line here of higher lows, very close to the apex, very close to the lower trend line. There could be a fall below the triangle. And just note, a breakout to the downside, we're looking at closer to 30 cents, right? So this could go one of both ways. I'm not here to predict. I'm not here to tell you that I do my technical analysis as a visualization tool so that we can analyze and prepare for these moves. Oftentimes, though, they just play out. And we were ready for both angles. And we were able to make good macro-minded decisions, wise decisions. That's why we're here. Nobody in the world can do TA and guess and predict exactly what's going to happen next. It doesn't happen that way. We get indicators that help us, and they give us a guide of momentum and likelihood of certain things, but it's not going to help us predict exactly what's going to happen. So these are the areas I'm watching. Obviously, this trend line on XRP, and we have the 50-day moving average, 20-day moving, we have these smaller 6-hour moving average confluent with each other. So you can see just on this 6-hour chart, there is a lot of consolidation in a kind of a more upward trend as XRP tests that trend line right there. So this is going to be very interesting to see how XRP plays out with all of the headlines that are coming out. And really though, everybody, we have to zoom out on the charts and look at the general landscape of the world that we're living in. There's a lot going on. So I should have started with this, but what is this chart doing tomorrow? And again, this is a 6-hour chart. This is a S&P 500. What is this doing? That's going to play into everything that we just looked at on ADA and XRP. So those are my thoughts today, everybody. Wanted to do a nice little ADA XRP video. It was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.